top focus and our exclusive. Pakistan has violated the ceasefire truce again today, and after a 36-hour lull, our exclusive report is about to reveal that it is a very well thought out design. Pakistani troops have been actually providing cover fire so that terror cells across the border could be reactivated and armed terrorists could slip in unnoticed.
It was Pakistan's three-pronged terror strategy. Attack Indian posts, play the victim card, and while India was kept busy, covertly reactivate its terror cells.
Indian border posts in Arnia, Araspura, Samba, Poonch and Rajouri have come under heavy fire from across the border. But real intention of Pakistan was to reactivate terror camps in Pak-occupied Kashmir.
Pakistani troops have actually been providing cover fire to terrorists to infiltrate before snow becomes an impediment.
We have noticed certain training camps. We have noticed and we have information about the existence of certain launching pads. They are there across the LOC, they are there across the IB, and infiltration attempts are made from such locations.
Pakistan is ready with a terror blueprint. Not just training camps, but some of the suicide bombers are also waiting in the launching pads near the border. And they are just waiting for the right time to cross over this side.
Sources have told Headlines today that 43 terror camps are operating in Pakistan just across the border. Anywhere between 1,300 to 1,600 terrorists are lodged in these camps, bearing allegiance to various terror organizations. With Ashwini Kumar, Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
So security agencies are suspecting that around 1,600 terrorists belonging to the Lashkar-e-Taiba, Hizbul Mujahideen, Jaish-e-Mohammed, Harkat-ul-Mujahideen, Harkat-ul-Jamaat Islami are currently training in these camps and are ready to infiltrate from across the border. Let's give you an idea of the numbers. Around 125 Hizbul Mujahideen terrorists in Garhi alone, Habibullah camp, 60 in Muzaffarabad, 90 Jaish and Lashkar operatives in Mansehra, and Nabotabad 70 to 80 Lashkar jihadis, while 40 Lashkar and Hizbul terrorists in Kahuta. These are the basic estimates, the approximate numbers that we're giving you. But as you can see, there are terror groups lodged across the area, which is in fact a raising concern for security agencies. And after a 36-hour lull, Pakistan has broken the ceasefire truce once again. Pakistani troops targeted 4 army posts in Poonch's Kirni sector, and the 4 posts under attack are Jungle 1, Jungle 2, Sher and Shakti. As you can see in your screens, it will now be perhaps easier to understand Pakistan's real intentions. A scrutiny of the sectors under Pakistan fire is enough to understand Pakistan's devious game of terror. The terror camps have been reactivated in areas that lie directly opposite these sectors on the other side of the border. Clearly, this is a well thought out strategy. Pakistan continuing to engage our troops on the border, then diverting international attention by playing the victim card, all the while playing a dangerous game of terror, allowing battle-ready terrorists to sneak into India.
I can only guess as much as you do. International boundary is a very serious issue. They are targeting international boundary in Jammu and Kashmir, which they call as working boundary, is primarily, to my mind, to internationalize the issue of Kashmir.
And Ashwini Kumar, our correspondent, now joining us live from Jammu, and Reza Laskar, joining us in the studios. Ashwini, let me come to you first. What's the situation on ground like? If you can just give us an idea. We know we have in fact brought this exclusive report about how this is a well thought out strategy, but how are the Indian troops hitting back?
Yes, the Pakistanis just for 48 hours, Pakistani there was a silence on the border from the international border to the line of control. But early in the morning, Pakistanis again fired on the line of control for 4 posts in the Poonch sector. No, again at the same time, no, they have fired in 2 posts at international border in Arnia sector, Pittal and Chenazpur. There was small fire. 4-5 rounds were fired by the Pakistani Ranger on the BSF post, but BSF post they have not retaliated. They are just watching their tactics whether they will again fire. If they will fire heavily, and the retaliation will be given heavily from the BSF party. They are just watching the strategy of the Pakistanis from international border to line of control. So there is for 2 days there was peace on the line of control and international border. Again they have started firing on the international border. Yeah.
Right, Reza, if you can actually just give us an idea of what, how many terror groups and which areas exactly are they attempting to sort of reactivate? We understand that the terror camps are placed opposite the Indian sectors.
Well, you know, I mean, given the fact that there's considerable firing on the LOC and the international border, I mean, this would be just the perfect time for them to try and make some sort of an infiltration bid. You know, these groups, the ones that were just mentioned, the Lashkar-e-Toiba, the Hizbul Mujahideen, the Jaish-e-Mohammed, it's pretty well known that they are active in these areas. I mean, even in the time when I was in Pakistan, there were a lot of reports of the Jaish-e-Mohammed, of the Jamaat-ud-Dawa and the Lashkar-e-Toiba, in fact, acquiring new property in, you know, acquiring land in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir to set up new bases and training camps. So, I mean, they've been churning out these recruits. These people are ready to, you know, kind of move across the border and foment trouble in Jammu and Kashmir. Also, you know, on January 26th this year, there was a very significant event. The Jaish-e-Mohammed chief, Maulana Masood Azhar, who hadn't been heard of for quite some time, he addressed a rally in Muzaffarabad by phone and called for, you know, fresh jihad in Jammu and Kashmir. So it's all part of a cycle, and it's pretty obvious, you know, that the jihadi groups would want to cash in on the tensions on the LOC and the border right now, and, you know, try and make all efforts to move their fighters across the border.
Right, and do you think that this in any way has to do with a certain timeline, considering we must keep in mind that winter is in fact approaching, so sort of attempt as many infiltration bids as possible before the weather actually changes?
Well, yes, it makes perfect sense. I mean, this is the last window open for you before the snows come in, and, you know, it's difficult to move across the border. So, I mean, obviously, and also, you know, the fact that there are hostilities, the firing gives cover to these infiltrators to try and make a bid to sneak across the border. So, I mean, yes, I mean, there are indications that, you know, the Pakistani side wants to internationalize Kashmir. They've been harping on the Kashmir issue for quite some time right now, and, you know, it just the pieces of the puzzle seem to fit.
But using what you're saying as a jumping off point, on ground, the Pakistani side, it appears to, you know, to have been preparing for a round of aggressive ceasefire violations, because in the first couple of days this month, people in Pakistan villages close to the border were asked to vacate already. So this obviously seems to be a well thought out strategy where everything has been planned. They're protecting their civilians.
Well, yes, I mean, if these indicators are coming across from the other side, I mean, nothing happens without, you know, some sort of planning on the Pakistani side. These groups do not operate, you know, on their own. I mean, if the security establishment on the other side wants to crack down on these groups, and we saw that, you know, just after the Mumbai attacks, these groups virtually disappeared. I mean, nothing was heard from them. Obviously, those restrictions that were imposed on these groups are no longer valid, and, you know, they have been given a free hand now.
Absolutely. Ashwini, let me come to you, because beyond all those reasons, there is another crucial factor which may have contributed to this escalation in ceasefire violations. This year, the Pakistani side has been ineffective in pushing their bare minimum, as you would call it, number of you know, militants into India. Usually we're seeing in a year about 100 of them coming into India, but this year it's not as much as usual.
Yeah, there are already militants on the launching pads, and they are just waiting the opportunity. But because of the army alertness, and today also the Corps Commander of 16th Corps, Lieutenant General K.S. Singh said that we are totally alert. And Pakistani, it is because of the cover fire, they want to push up the militant towards this side, and they are staying on the launching pad just near to the line of control. They are staying in some houses, and the ISI and the Pakistani army, they are paying the money to the householder for the staying of their people. During daytime they move outside in the market, but night time they were told to keep inside the houses, and whenever the ISI and the army will get the time, they will push these people this year. So that is the reason they are totally alert.
Ashwini, our correspondent, thank you so much for joining us from Jammu, and Riza, thank you so much for joining us. Moving on, Cyclone Hudud is now a very severe cyclonic storm which is menacingly advancing towards the coast of Andhra Pradesh and Odisha. The Met Department has sent out an orange message, which is a higher level of warning to the centre and states. Authorities have started large-scale evacuations in the coastal districts of both these states. Now, the cyclone is expected to make landfall around Vizag. So let's first look at the areas that are under the storm watch. In north coastal Andhra, the districts likely to be the worst hit are Visakhapatnam, Viziyanagar, Srikakulam. Meanwhile, in south coastal Andhra, it's East Godavari, West Godavari and the Krishna district. However, in Odisha, the districts bracing for the storm fury are Ganjam, Gajapati, Koraput and Malkangiri. Now, the cyclonic storm is 300 kilometers from Vizag and all flights to the airport have been cancelled. There will be no vehicle movement along the impact routes after 7 p.m. The East Coast Railways have cancelled 38 trains on 12th of October, which is tomorrow, while 1,500 NDRF personnel have been deployed in Andhra Pradesh and Odisha. The Coast Guard, meanwhile, has also deployed 17 ships and 9 aircrafts on the East Coast for rescue and relief operations. The Andhra Pradesh government is evacuating up to 4.56 lakh people from the coastal villages, while the Odisha government is also set to evacuate 3.5 lakh people from affected regions. Now let's take a look at the latest Met Department bulletin. The severe cyclonic storm lies between Visakhapatnam and the southeast of Gopalpur. It is expected to cross the Andhra Pradesh coast around Visakhapatnam just ahead of noon tomorrow.
बारिश शुरू हो गया, इसीलिए हम लोगों का चेंज ऑफ प्लानिंग हो गया है. ट्रेन कैंसिल है, हमको वापस जाना था, थोड़ा सा प्लानिंग में चेंज हो गया है, प्रॉब्लम थोड़ा सा आ रहा है. और क्योंकि ट्रेन सब कैंसिल्ड, सो यू हैव टू ट्रैवल बाय बस.
हाँ, हर लोग को हुदूद का डर है. तो 1 साल हो गया, फिर पहला साल भी ऐसा भी हो रहा है अक्टूबर बार को, इस साल भी अक्टूबर बार को ऐसा भी हो रहा है, इसलिए हर आदमी को तकलीफ भी हो रहा है.
Hudud is coming, so for that reason my train got means the route got changed from Bhubaneswar to Kharagpur. Because of that only I cancelled my ticket, and I think we are taking more precaution for this Hudud.
Senior NCP leader R.R. Patil has come up with the most shocking remark on rape. When getting to know about a rape case against an MNS candidate, instead of condemning him for it, Patil said that he should have been careful before committing the crime, or at least waited for the elections to be over. What's more glaring is that the supporters that he was addressing was actually hooting on the senior leader. Remember, R.R. Patil is the same man who courted controversy in June this year with his remark on the issue of checking rapes, saying it is impossible to post a policeman at every home where most of these incidents take place.
काय पाथरा लिहिलेत आपल्या भागात मनसेने एक उमेदवार उभा केलाय. आज मनसेचे लोक मला भेटले, म्हटले आमचा पाठिंबा तुम्हाला. म्हटलं का? तर म्हटले आमचा उमेदवार तुरुंगात आहे. म्हटलं काय पुण्यकर्म केलं? नाही म्हटले जरा बलात्काराचा गुन्हा त्याच्यावर नोंद झाला. त्यानं मिरजतवर अर्ज इथं भरलाय. आता त्याला इथं उभाच राहायचं होतं, आपल्या तालुक्याचा आमदार व्हायचं होतं, तर किमान बलात्कार निवडणुकीनंतर तरी करायचा.
उनका चेहरा लोगों के सामने आया है, मैं उनका निषेध करता हूं और ये जो घटना है उनकी जांच की भी मांग कर रहा हूं.
इसी की वजह से मैं इस वक्तव्य की निंदा करती हूं और भारत की सभी महिलाओं को, महाराष्ट्र की महिलाओं को इस वक्तव्य की निंदा करनी.
And 4 days to go for the Haryana polls, and Om Prakash Chautala has headed back to jail. The grand old man of Haryana politics, almost jubilant before his journey back to Tihar, clearly satisfied that the turn of events will only boost the prospects of his party in the upcoming Haryana Assembly polls.
पार्टी के लिए कोई संदेश, पार्टी के लिए क्या संदेश रहेगा?
अब हम तो चले जेल साथियों। 15 तारीख को छोटे मोटे मतभेद बुला करके इंडियन नेशनल लोकदल पार्टी के प्रत्याशियों को भारी मतों से विजयी बनाए।
Chautala appeared before the Delhi High Court yesterday in the teachers' recruitment scam. Remember where the court rejected his lawyer's arguments and asked him to surrender within 24 hours. Now, the High Court, remember, had expressed pain and disappointment and declared that it was disappointed by his behavior. Rejecting Ram Jethmalani's arguments, the court granted him 24 hours, that too on a condition that he would actually stay home. And this is what the Delhi High Court had expressed disappointment over. It has been angry at the fact that Chautala has been addressing election rallies in the poll-bound state after he was granted bail on medical grounds.
Roll. Om Prakash Chautala has now left his home for Tihar jail. Though it's late in the day, he's been supposed to surrender by 11th. So therefore, he's now proceeding towards Tihar jail. And due to his health, there are some reservations. He has some supporters also, and his Mercedes SUV is just left. Though the timings of the jail are 7 o'clock according to the manual, but then he's left late after having his dinner. Now he's been alleging a political conspiracy, and that's why he's been lodged in the jail. He says his party is going to perform very well. He's maintaining equal distance with both BJP and Congress. Now the results will tell what sort of performance the party is going to give, and we'll get to know on 19th of October. With camera person Shakil Ahmed, Atir Khan in Delhi for Headlines Today.
Today is Karwa Chauth, a day when women in North India fast from morning till the time they spot the moon in the evening. Women pray for their husbands' prosperity and long lives, and in Tihar jail, women were seen celebrating the festival with pomp and glory. Meanwhile, women were seen dancing and celebrating the auspicious day in various other parts of the capital as well. BJP spokesperson Meenakshi Lekhi was also spotted in the capital being a part of the celebrations.